Sir, rolling tape.
Okay.
I'm good.
The Streets, Traffic, and Refuge Committee will call to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Murphy,
I hear.
Alderman Kotar,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley,
Here.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Present.
Chairman Boyd.
Present.
5 present, you have quorum.
Okay, good morning, everybody. What's before us, excuse me, is Board Bill 236, introduced by Alderman Joseph Rhodey.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, thank you. I apologize for dragging you down here for this single bill on this cold day near the end of our session. As I think everyone's aware, we've been having some scheduling, calendar/communication problems, and I'm not sure where all this fell in, but this is it's my understanding that this got hung up out at Streets and was never sent down here, and it was discovered that we're getting ready to go out of session and it hasn't been passed yet. This is for vacating the right-of-way or street within the Federal Mogul site. So Federal Mogul is was an abandoned foundry that was along Forest Park Boulevard and Highway 40 east of IKEA. Everybody can kind of, there's a firehouse on the corner, and this is the property behind it. And this is already under process as a very substantial construction project. If anybody hasn't been over there, you'd be amazed at the amount of stuff that's going on. Eventually, this will be several $100 million invested there. This foundry was, it's about, I think, a 12 or 14 acre site. It's been abandoned for, at least a decade, probably longer. Had serious contamination problems and so forth. And we have passed any number of pieces of legislation in support of the project. This is just providing vacation for a public street that kind of runs through the project. So by vacating this will give them the ability to consolidate the site and progress with their construction, which is already started. So mostly that's it.
Okay, let's take questions. Alderwoman Murphy.
I don't have any questions, sounds good.
Alderman Coulter.
No questions.
Alderman Bosley.
No questions.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
No questions.
I have a question just from history. So that was a National Guard armory, is that correct?
So that's on the other side of the highway, which has been abandoned as well. So you have multiple projects going on out there.
Okay.
And I might take a minute to editorialize. I know that our area, there's a lot of discussion down here about what's happening in different parts of the city and why there's so much activity going on in the 17th Ward. I think the amount of activities going on in the 17th Ward today, I think to some extent is a reflection of the amount of disinvestment that happened in that ward for many, many years.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had a period of time where nothing was going on. We have large industrial areas, and if you look at much of the construction going on out there, these are for abandoned projects. And so this Federal Mogul site was an industrial site for, decades, and it got contaminated. And then they shut it down and all the jobs went away, and then it sat there for years. And that, that is an example of the site. Underneath the highway, so that's along Highway 40. On the other side of the highway is the old National Guard Armory, which is a gorgeous old building, but that building has been vacant for 20, 25 years, and it was just mothballed there, and nothing was in there, nothing's going on. And before you came in, I was talking about the idea that money's like a magnet. You start getting a pile of it, and it starts attracting other money. And what I think is important to understand about what's happening along that area, so if you can kind of imagine it starting down at Grand and Shodo, we had, very significant opportunity for us was the hospital down there. It's the St. Louis University Hospital. There was discussion at one point of moving the medical school out of the city and onto one of the hospital campuses in the county. because obviously you need to have a medical school next to a hospital so that the students can have patients to see.
That's Marsh
So
Union.
there was a number,
Lawrence.
there was discussions going on, and, nobody at the city was at the table, but, I know they're going on between St. Louis University, and we have two very large Catholic hospital chains here in St. Louis, and both of those hospital chains were encouraging the medical school to go out there and co-locate on one of their campuses, and that way they just build a whole new medical school. That would have been devastating for all of South Grand. What happened, and it was a difficult thing, we had the Peevely complex, which was vacant, and there was a lot of discussion that some of it burned down. We eventually tore it down, pretty much at Father Biondi's insistence, but that was, couldn't talk about it at the time, but that was part of the agreement to keep St. Louis University Medical School here in St. Louis. Now, as part of that, SSM has agreed to build a $550 million complex, and if you go over there, you will see that $550 million complex under construction. Now, that is going on now, and SSM, which is, co-owns that hospital with SLU, they're kind of the senior partner, they operate in 5 states, so they have hospitals in 5 states. That is the only hospital that's affiliated with a Catholic medical school. So none of their other hospitals are affiliated with a medical school, period, not Catholic, any medical school. So you have hospitals in 5 states, and the interesting thing, or the important thing about having a medical school affiliated with a hospital is that's usually the place where the sickest people go. So if you're in one of these 5 states in an SSM hospital and you have a unique situation, they very well might refer you to St. Louis University, the hospital that's affiliated with the University Medical School. Does that make sense?
Yes, it
Everybody kind of
does.
following along?
Yes.
So in essence, we have taken a whole bunch of, frankly, sick people from other parts of the, Midwest region, and now we're bringing them here, and we're gonna have St. Louisans, our residents, be employed over there taking care of those patients. And so that's gonna be a really important economic stimulus for our region. So that's going on, and of course, the medical school, for years, they had sold the hospital to Tenet, and for years, there was, not knowing what was going on, there was a hesitancy to reinvest back in the medical school. So what we believe will happen, what I believe that will happen, and we've been getting encouragement that this will, is that now that major investment is being made, St. Louis University is going to go ahead and reinvest and invest a significant amount of money back into their medical school. So I would think that in not too distant future, we'll be hearing about more construction coming out of the medical school. So that's kind of going on there. Most of that is south of Shodo. As we did that, we convinced SLU the importance of connecting their 2 campuses, the South Campus with the North Campus, and that's when Alderwoman Davis and I sponsored the Midtown Redevelopment Plan, which connected about 400 acres in between those 2. And then that got everybody's attention. A $550 million investment is pretty significant. And the creation of that redevelopment plan, and that's when the Lawrence Group committed to doing the Federal Mogul project, which is on the west side of Grand, north of Highway 40. So if you're going east on Highway 40, you'll be driving by, and the Federal Mogul site will be to your left. And immediately on the other side of the highway is the Armory project, which the chairman asked about. And then to the south of that then is the medical center. But between those is a 14-acre site at the corner of Shodo and Grand on the northwest corner. And that there's a proposal out for that by St. Louis University and in that redevelopment area. So we might well see something starting to come up on that site. And then, of course, we're starting to see all kinds of activity in the 19th Ward as well, with the steel coat announcement, they have a big project going on in the 19th ward. So it's all starting to spread from, you know, from that one big announcement, it's starting to spread through all these other things. And eventually, that's where the idea of moving the Shoto Greenway up. And so the Greenway is gonna probably connect through there. If you haven't seen the renderings of that, it's gonna be really spectacular. So you'll have the Greenway coming up from downtown, through the SLU campus, through the Federal Mogul site, probably connecting some way underneath the highway to get over to the other south of the highway. But then there's actually an abandoned rail spur that they're gonna turn into a bridge that will take you over Vanaventer and land you in the middle of Cortex then, near the metro stop. And then the goal is to eventually begin connecting that north and south with TrailNet routes, so that people from both of the north and the south, probably up and down Sarah, would have access to that. And of course, that would be the first thing, and as I suspect most of you know, that's a very long-term plan that will eventually connect North and South St. Louis vis-a-vis bike paths and greenways and so forth, so. And now the chairman's saying I'm talking too long, so.
All right. I didn't say that, but let's go ahead and entertain a motion on Board Bill 236.
I move that we pass Board Bill 236 out of committee with a do pass recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Moore, Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderman Kotar,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Bosley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Martin, Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Chairman Boyd.
Aye.
5 aye votes.
Board Bill 236 comes out of committee with due pass recommendation.
There you go.
All right, thank you, committee.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Streets Traffic and Refuge Committee is adjourned.
All right.